Hi and welcome to Labour Lens. I am Sharon Ijasan. On this week's episode of the program, we will be discussing about teachers' welfare and how some state governments have refused to prioritize it. We will be right back. These workers, who are members of the Amalgamated Union of Public Corporations, Civil Service, Technical and Recreational Services employees, are beginning a strike with this protest. They are accusing the director of the Lagos State Water Corporation of corruption and maltreatment of staff.
We are telling the governor of Lagos State, His Excellency Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, that the workers of Water Corporation have totally rejected Ejina Mumini Badmus as MD of Lagos Water Corporation. He is a political appointed, so his tenure could have ended on the 29th of May. All our deduction, cooperative, pension, taxes was paid to the appropriate agency. We want regular maintenance of all our equipment. Also, we want all the allowances that the management of Olowe hold, we want it to be paid.
This issue has been on ground for a very long time. It has lingering for so long. But it's unfortunate that we have to take this action because we don't want people to twist it, that the new governor is just arriving and we are facing him with trouble. No. It is not. We want to get that clear. So what we want the new governor to do is that there's an adage that said, all things are passed away, behold, all things are new. He should change the managing director of Water Corporation. Enough is enough.
The workers of the Water Corporation barricaded the entrance to the office. They say irregular water production and supply has reduced the capacity of the equipment.
Since we have more money as the MD of Water Corporation, the decline of water production to the Lagosians has reduced drastically for no reason. And we have capable staff that will handle the situation. And that is why we have sent in a series of memos from the union OFTA to ensure that he beefs up his production aspect to the Lagosians. But up to date, he refused to meet up the demand, even when the former governor was there. And that is why we said, okay, enough is enough.
The workers want an audit of investments and projects in the corporation from 2015 to date. They also threatened that the office complex of the corporation will become the workers' camp as long as the strike lasted.
Last week, the National Industrial Court ordered the immediate reinstatement of the suspended Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Munir Gwarzo. The court held that the Minister of Finance, named as the second defendant in the suit, lacked the power to suspend Mr. Gwarzo as the claimant. That court order is certainly not sitting down well with workers of the commission, and this protest is proof.
No!
The workers chose the first working day of the week to express their anger against the judgment.
Talking about the purported judgment of Industrial Court of last week that Gwarzo should be reinstated. We are saying no, that Gwarzo cannot be reinstated. We reject him in totality. The government should listen to us, that we don't want him.
They want the report of the administrative inquiry into allegations of corruption against the suspended Director General implemented.
You will see that there are a lot of indictments. He used his two companies to execute contract here. He awarded it by himself to himself. So, and we preach corporate governance. We are saying that that kind of person cannot head a capital market regulator of SEC, the apex regulator of SEC.
The workers have resolved to take their protest to the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance. The report of the Administrative Panel of Inquiry into allegations of violation of public service rules and financial regulations recommended Mr. Gwarzo's dismissal. It also recommended that the suspended Director General be directed to refund 104.85 million naira, which he allegedly collected as a severance package.
Recently, the former Minister of Education, Adamu, said the number of teachers currently serving in the education sector in Nigeria is grossly inadequate. He spoke at a Teachers and Learning Conference organized by the African Federation of Teaching Regulatory Authorities and the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, TRCN, in Abuja.
Many of our principals don't even understand us.
During a visit by TVC News crew to the Federal College of Education Technical Akoka, Lagos, it was gathered that enrollment of students have reduced drastically. I caught up with the chairman of the institution's chapter of Colleges of Education, Academic Staff Union, Kowesu, Ebenezer Oje, teaching students who are still interested in the profession. In an exclusive interview with TVC News, he spoke on the advantage of engaging professionals in the classroom.
Going by the policy of Nigeria, the students from College of Education are supposed to be the one to teach at the basic level. The highest they can go should be probably junior secondary school. But in most cases, they are supposed to be the manpower that will manage the basic level of education. And here we are now. We are not having enough students coming in, to enroll as teachers in the future, to be in the future. Okay, so that's a challenge for the country.
Are you confident that... I spoke with some students who are confident about their training as teachers. They want the government to make teachers' welfare a priority.
Yes, I just had to look into so many things before I venture into going to the university or the College of Education. And I looked into it that majorly for the university, they will only take you on the theory part of, especially the course I'm doing presently. They will only take you on the theory part instead the practical. So, and the practical is the major, if we would look at it very well. So I prefer doing what I love doing at some point. So which I think I found it at the College of Education. So that's why I'm pleased with what I'm doing.
Most of our time, especially final departments, day and night, we're always working, even in the middle of the night. So what I want the government to see this and then they provide some of the equipment needed, but it's not enough because they should consider the fact that these people are really working and they are the one who will go out there and be teaching the upcoming students, and they wouldn't want us to be passing knowledge that is not good to them, as in that is outdated.
The abysmal failure of students over the years in the secondary school examinations conducted by WAEC, NECO and NAPTEP has been largely attributed to lack of quality of teachers by educationists. While it is one thing to acquire minimum teaching qualification, it is another issue to possess the professional competence to effectively carry out the job of teaching at any given level of the system.
When you talk about quackery, quackery means quackery. Quackery means somebody who is practicing something he or she didn't practice. And in teaching industry, we regard a teacher as somebody who has gone through the crucibles of educational lines, learning the pedagogy of teaching. So if you have not learned it, you cannot be in the business of teaching. And more importantly, there's a body called now Teachers Registration Council. Of course, if you don't have a license today, you cannot be in any teaching industry because you can't practice. So funny enough and unfortunately, federal government is even promoting quackery. And what do I mean by that? There is this program they call N-Teaching. Yes, of course, people will think that they are promoting employment. But as far as educational industry is concerned, as far as NUT is concerned, we are opposed to that policy.
Let me appreciate the government, particularly with the enactment of law that professionalizes teaching, and so teachers can now register and be licensed to teach. The implication of that is that anybody who is not holding on to a license is illegally teaching. It's like somebody is not holding a license to drive. And so that differentiates a professional teacher from a non-qualified teacher. And in my view, I think that the directorate that is in charge of quality assurance and inspectorate should be in their guard to make sure that quackery is killed is wiped away in our society. Because whatever the decadence we are witnessing now in education is a result of inexperience, of course, quacknation of those that are not trained to teach.
It's very, very unfortunate that we woke up today and we found out that there are people that ordinarily don't supposed to be in our classes, teaching in our schools, and they are also named teachers. And by implication, you know what a teacher is. A teacher is someone that is seen as a role model by all ramifications. And it's a painful thing today that we wake up and we find people that ordinarily don't supposed to be in our schools are asked to go and teach. And the issue is not far-fetched from the fact that the right thing is not done even at the point of recruitment. When you allow those who don't have the requisite qualification to teach, for example, either NC or B.Ed, to go into our schools to teach, then you have problem there. Teaching, as you are all aware, is a profession. It is expected that it should be mined by only professionals. What do I mean? I mean it should be only people that have gone through the rudiment of teaching. They should be the one to be allowed to teach in our schools. So if that is done, I want to assure you the issue of quackery into the system wouldn't even come up.
On the Profile interview segment this week, I will be speaking with the national president of the Nigerian Union of Teachers, who also doubles up as the deputy president of the Nigerian Labour Congress. He tells me what the possible solutions are to the several problems or challenges the teaching profession is faced with. Take a listen. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you.
A lot is happening in the teaching profession, and I'm concerned. How would you rate the teachers' welfare in Nigeria?
Part of our responsibility is to ensure that teachers' welfare in Nigeria is adequately being taken care of by government. You know, we came newly because we had just been elected, and we have met so many challenges, especially in the area of welfare of teachers and also the infrastructural decay in the education sector. So we have been engaging state government because we deal with secondary and primary school teachers. That is where we have jurisdictional scope. We have been engaging governments, state government, to ensure that they provide conducive atmosphere for better learning for our children, and also to ensure that we do our best to ensure that the welfare of teachers is also not be lacking in Nigeria. We have been having a very serious engagement and various meetings with some governors where teacher salaries is not being paid, promotion are not being done, and at the same time, the schools have been dilapidated and construction of new schools are not being taken place. So we have been trying as much as we can to ensure that those governments address those issues. Quite a number of state governments has yielded to the advice that we have given to them by writing and by sitting down one-on-one to discuss issues of education and teachers. And their response, some of them, their response is a very nice one. But there are other governors where they don't pay salaries. And we have been talking of standard of education is falling in Nigeria, so if teachers' salaries and allowances were not being paid, how will you expect those teachers to improve their productivity? Because at the end of the month, other civil servants who are seeing alerts, others are getting their salaries, and those teachers are not getting their salaries. You know, that is a very serious situation, and it's also demoralizing. So we have been trying our best to ensure that those issues have been addressed.
Okay, looking at inadequate funding in the education sector, many scholars are of the view that compared to other developed countries, there's a certain amount of money that is supposed to be budgeted to ensure that the standard of education is actually improved on. How would you juxtapose it with the teachers' welfare right now in the country? Would you say that Nigeria is at par with other African teachers in the world?
Well, now, I'm not talking of before, because before, even the UNESCO benchmark, Nigeria has only been allocated 7.5%. But just last 2-3 months back, the Federal Executive Council have approved 15% increase in the budgetary allocation for education, which we'll look at it as a very welcome development.
It's still not up to what the UNESCO
it's not
standard
up to,
is.
but it's a yardstick. It's yes, it's another development. So if before 7.5% is being allocated, now 15% is being allocated, you see there is an increase, because the budgetary allocation has doubled. And I know with time we will reach that benchmark of UNESCO. So, well, we are monitoring and to ensure that, yes, this 15% that was being approved by the federal government will also be as a union to ensure that implementation, because it's one thing to make pronouncement and it's another thing to implement what you have approved. So we are monitoring the budget to ensure that government implement that 15% allocated to education.
As an experienced teacher and the national president of the Nigerian Union of Teachers, what are your propositions, what are your advice, or what way does the union want to engage the federal government when it comes to lack of basic infrastructure across the country? No state is left out. We still have many schools that are actually underdeveloped. What is the way out?
Well, we have been engaging federal government through Federal Ministry of Education. We are also engaging state government, because there is no way that state government will be left out, because the secondary school teachers is the responsibility of the state government to build schools, to also take care of welfare of teachers of secondary school. While the primary school teachers is the local government that is taking responsibility of the payment, even though we know local government cannot do it alone. Because I could record the 2002 judgment, because we are agitated, because the responsibility of payment of primary school teacher was to be shouldered on local government is too much on them. So there are Supreme Court judgment which we are now pursuing the federal government to ensure that judgment was being implemented. Because if that judgment is not being implemented, we will continue to have problem of education in this country. Because the judgment said that the responsibility of primary education in Nigeria is rested on the state government. And local government should participate. So if they said you are going to participate, that means that you are not the person that will take charge or take that bulk of responsibility. So we are trying to see how government will come and harmonize this thing. Because if harmonization did not take place, definitely we will continue to have this problem as far as education is concerned. Because like you said, we move to this level that there are a lot of states, there are a lot of schools, there are a lot of local government where you see children, pupils, students taking their lesson under shade, which by this time Nigeria should have passed that level. You go to some of these small African countries, their educational system is good, it's far better than our own. Because you see their students in good school, they renovate school, they build new school, and they put instruction materials. And you see teacher salaries, they pay as a window. But now you will see a state where they receive allocation from the federation account. At the end of the day, they will go and be paying civil servants and teachers in percentage. That is why we say we are not going to condone that. Any state that is not paying teacher salaries and allowances, any state that is not paying teacher salaries and allowances, they have backlog of salary. We directed that we have a NEC decision that those states, those teachers should proceed on industrial action indefinitely.
With my knowledge and understanding of education, I realized that many politicians actually play politics when it comes to recruitment of teacher. I want you to react as regards this, and I also want you to also react as regards the issue of quackery, whereby you're not a professional teacher and you're actually seen in the classroom teaching.
Yeah. First and foremost, those teachers, how do they find themselves into classroom? How do they find themselves into the payroll of government? That is why we always say that the government should recruit qualified teachers. And there are so many, hundreds of thousands qualified teachers, NCE and BA teachers, that are working on the street. They are in the labor market. But because of looking for cheap labor, or to achieve a political goal, that is how they will be recruiting unqualified teachers. In some places, you will see they recruit a secondarian. What secondarian has to do in the classroom? You don't have teaching qualification, you just came out from secondary school and you just find yourself because government or those politicians that are in the power decided to say, okay, let's take them teaching job and send them to classroom. That is why we insist the federal government must create a body that will regulate teaching profession in this country. We know how we suffer before government came out and create a Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria. And we have been working harmoniously, assiduously with the TRCN to ensure that those quack teachers should be shown their way out, which already a decision is on ground by end of 2019. If you don't have teaching qualification, you will be shown your way out. We even say that those teachers should be prosecuted. Anybody beyond 2019 was being found without having license to teach in a school should be prosecuted. Can you go, if you are not a doctor, can you go to the hospital and say that, yes, I'm here, I came to take a job here? Even if somebody wants you to take job there, unless if you are a doctor, you have gone through all the process and you are qualified. You have been given license. If you are not a lawyer, can you go to bench? Can you sit in the bench? There are, if you are not an engineer, can you be in Korea? There are so many professional bodies. But because they look at our own, teaching is the last, yes, it's for all commerce, everybody. We should go to classroom and be teaching. That is why we stand our ground. When we are backing that federal government decision through the Teachers Registration Council, if you are not a teacher, you should leave the classroom. You have no business there. So we are supporting that policy, and we will stand by it. We will support it to its logical conclusion.
The Nigerian Union of Teachers has also called on the federal government to increase the age of retirement to 65 years. How far has this negotiation been ongoing? Yes,
there are a lot of progress, because when we sat down at the union, we look at it that also the tertiary institution, the polytechnic, the college of education, the universities, federal government give them that gesture, increase their service years to 65 years. While we look at it that why the primary and secondary school teachers did not enjoy that gesture. Then we take the matter up through the Federal Ministry of Education. We went to the National Assembly, and the Parliament have seen reason that morally we should also enjoy that gesture, because our own work is even higher than, because we have to dust, clean, dust, and send it to the either College of Education, Polytechnics, or University. So the bulk of the work of molding the character is with the primary and secondary school. So they have seen reason the Parliament, the House of Reps have passed that bill. The Senate has concurred it unanimously. And it was been sent to the President for assent. And we are waiting for the President to assent that bill, because we don't have enough teachers. Some of the classrooms are almost empty. You see, in a school where you should have maybe 30 teachers, you have 15 teachers or 10 teachers managing almost thousands of students, which is not healthy for educational development of this country.
It was an interesting conversation I had with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijasan. Thanks for watching, and remember, labor creates wealth.